If you don't own a table saw and don't have a wide collection of tools, it can be pretty tough to build some drawers out. I ended up using just a router and a couple other saws I had around my shop to build out these drawers and get straight cuts to get this drawer all built. What I'll be showing you now is how exactly I built this drawer out to get all the sides nice and level. And if you own a router and want to build these drawers, then you can follow along with me. But here's how I built it. So for this build, I'll be using 3/4 inch plywood, the Baltic birch plywood variety. And what I have to do first is I have to measure 21.5 inches to cut the drawers down to size. Now my longest drawer is 21.5 inches, so I'm just going to start with there, and then I'm going to cut the drawers down to whatever size I need after that. So like I said before, I still don't have a table saw, and I haven't used a table saw yet, so I'm just putting a straight edge right along with my circular saw. And this is what I'm going to do to get the 21 inch cut for my drawers. So in order to cut the drawers with the router, I'll just be using a straight bit from Mastercraft. Now this is actually one of the oldest bits I have, so I was hoping to get the job done. So I just have to first line up the edge guide with the Duralt router to the right size that I need. And once I have that lined up, I can get started with my first cut. So I noticed when I got towards the edge router was slipping a little bit, so I decided to make a little reinforced fence for my edge router. So what I did is took a flat piece of a Baltic birch plywood and then I put it on as a little extension for my fence. Now this just required just marking out where the holes would be. Once I had the holes marked out, I just drilled into the router to make little pilot holes, and I just did them at the size of the screw that I was going to use. And once this is done, I should have good support when I go to the edge of my board when I'm trying to make the cuts with the router. Now since I'm using just a router bit for these cuts, I'm only taking off a little bit at the time because I don't want to exhaust the router too much, but eventually, after a few passes, I get the router bit all done and I get all the plugs I need for my board. Now I'm breaking out the old crosscut sled just to cut the drawers down to size, so I'm just cutting down the sides for the drawers, which I believe are 17 inches, don't quote me on that. And then when I have it all cut, then the drawers will finally be done and I can finally get started on putting in the little base for the drawer. So I'm using a 1/4 inch for the material for the base, so all I have to do is just offset it by a 1/4 inch and then go in a 1/4 inch to that. And actually something surprising happened. I broke my first router bit. So yeah, don't use 25-year-old router bits when you're making drawers. So I bought a brand new one from Home Depot and it was time to get started on cutting these drawers again. So I actually made another mistake and I cut too short for this. So I glued it back up overnight, the bottom base, then with a little sanding, it could get the job done. I figured there wasn't going to be a lot of pressure going on this drawer, so gluing it back up shouldn't do anything too wrong. And eventually when I sanded the joint clean, it kind of looked like it was not there, but it was clearly there, so then, you know, only it's a happy accident that I'll know about, and I guess the people that watch this video. Now with the right size bottom finally put in, it was time to do a little dry test to make sure everything fit together. And after dry testing it all, it actually fit pretty good. I actually was so excited and ran out screaming, but this is actually how the drawer looks temporarily. And if you want, you can glue it up now, but what I'll be doing is actually using pocket hole screws from Kreg. Now it's actually my first time using them, so it's actually pretty simple to set up. All I do is adjust it and line it up to whatever material you're using, and then practice on a test piece first. It's always good to practice there, and then you just drill in the holes to where you need to go, and then eventually once you have all your holes drilled in, you can drill in your screws and then get the pocket holes joined up for the drawer. So once I figured out which sides I wanted where, the last thing to do is just drill in the screws for the pocket holes. And if you didn't want to do this, you can always just glue it up with clamps. But after I drilled in the screws, my drawer was all done, and now I can get started on actually designing the dividers for this drawer. And here's the temporary final product for my drawer. As it stands right now, I put in some lines I might want to put some dividers in, but that's still being finalized. And all this was just built with my router and then using a circular saw for a couple of cuts and a couple of my hand saws. Now I will be building a giant cabinet to put these drawers in, so there's 3 more drawers to build and then the carcass for the cabinet. So stay tuned for that video. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll catch you guys later.